Henry glanced into the window of the coffee shop, then paused. Every table was full, there was a queue at the counter, and he was in a hurry. Facing the day's task without caffeine felt especially unappealing when standing in the drizzle. The rain began falling harder and faster. Internally, Henry swore. "Oh, shit," a woman said, with feeling from behind. The sensation that she had given voice to his thought was so strong that Henry glanced over his shoulder, catching sight of a tail of bright, streaming hair, flying out behind the woman as she shot into the cafe. Taking refuge indoors was the only sensible response to sheeting rain, so, ignoring his qualms about lateness, Henry pushed through the door, its bell jangling. Surveying the inside, he pulled back his hood and ran a hand through his hair, wavering again. This place made far better drinks than the chains, but wasn't renowned for speed. And the queue stretched the entire length of the counter, with 5 customers ahead of him, 6 including the woman from outside, who now joined the end of the line. With a wince of sympathy at how wet her hair and thin jacket were, he took position in the queue. He'd give it a few minutes. The woman in front of him appeared to shiver, and as she repositioned her shoulder bag and lifted her ponytail from her neck, droplets of water scattered and flew. He shifted backwards, but not nearly fast enough to avoid a fine misting of water across his face. He reached for the napkins on the counter. The movement seemed to alert the woman to his presence, and she spun around. His first impression was that she appeared to be in her mid-20s, not far from his own age of 28. His second, that in response to his damp face, her own became dismayed. He tightened his fist around the napkin to conceal it. "I didn't notice you there," she said, reaching back to catch her ponytail between both hands. She had an American accent and a throaty tone. "I'm so sorry." Her skin had a slightly pinched look, presumably from the sudden deluge, and several flecks of mascara had migrated to her cheekbones. It didn't detract from the impact of her eyes, which were large and grey within their round orbits. "Not at all," Henry murmured, finding himself suddenly much less despondent about the wait. He added, with a smile, "My fault entirely for standing too close." That won him direct eye contact and a mirroring smile with a flash of dimples. He opened his mouth to speak again as the door jangled. A couple entered, moaning about the rain, and the young woman rotated away. Absurdly, Henry felt bereft at losing her attention. He couldn't stop watching as she nimbly twisted her hair, forming it into a crescent which she held against her head with one hand. She rooted inside her jeans pocket with the other, eventually drawing out a yellow pencil, which she thrust horizontally through the crescent. Somehow, pencil and hair remained perfectly in place. Henry suppressed an urge to ask how she'd tamed gravity. His first question shouldn't in any way reference her appearance. "Do you come here often?" he considered before scoffing at himself. He eyed her again, wondering if introducing himself would be unwelcome. With her hair up, he could see the outline of her shoulder blades through her jacket, and the slender gold chain around her neck. None of that hinted at her interest or disinterest in conversing with him.